Good day everyone. So this is a topic that not a lot of Genshin content creators have really covered, but I do think it is worth bringing to your attention. So as the title sort of says here, a ransomware or any malicious actor can abuse Genshin Impact's old anti-cheat driver to kill your antivirus. It can do all sorts of things, but essentially the old anti-cheat driver of Genshin Impact can be used to terminate almost any process that's running on your computer, and that includes your antivirus. And once someone's sort of killed your antivirus, they can then launch any other sort of malware on your system and effectively hack your computer. So I think to just sort of make this absolutely clear without going into a lot of technical details, Genshin Impact, the game, is perfectly fine. Genshin Impact, once you sort of download it, separately installs the anti-cheat driver. In other words, this is the sort of program that prevents you from cheating in Genshin Impact. Now, this separate piece that is being installed on your system is problematic. Now, I've got some good news to you. This only relates to an old file called myprot2.sys. If you go currently into your PC, and you must make sure of this, if you go to your, let's say your C drive, users, whatever your username is, I'll just use user PC here, app data local temp, so this is the path you need to look at, and you see myprot3.sys, then you are perfectly safe. But if you see myprot2, you've got to delete it. And the way in which you'll do it is you'll go to the command prompt, you'll just type sc space delete space myprot2.sys. Hopefully that should work. But basically this is how you just sort of need to make sure that you don't have the old anti-cheat driver on your system, because if you do, then someone could, if you download some shady stuff, typically perhaps like abuse it and then take control of your system. So myprot3, the current one that is installed, is perfectly fine, but the old one that would have been installed with your old version of Genshin Impact, they should have removed it with the latest updates and so on. But if it's not, if it's still in your system, just be really careful. Now you might say, well, okay, I don't have it on my system, so what is the big worry? I can still play Genshin, nothing's wrong. But you should still worry, because here's the big thing. Anyone, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Genshin, it doesn't matter what else you've got, if you download software from a shady website and they include this and they install this driver, you don't need Genshin Impact for this. This driver is something separate from Genshin Impact. If they install this driver separately onto your system, they can abuse it, because currently, as far as I'm aware, and as they sort of pointed out in the article, the driver itself is sort of signed by Windows, so Windows will legitimately install it, and unfortunately that means that someone can still like abuse this driver. In fact, one of the interesting things that I saw was already like 12 months ago, people reverse engineering Genshin Impacts, like old anti-cheat just for studying and so on. And I must echo the sentiments that the guy sort of says here, you know, to the game's content creators: I like your game, but your attitudes towards privacy are wrong, and you must sort of better protect your drivers. And I absolutely agree, and I do think hopefully they've done it with the latest one and so on. But it does show you, you know, that we are putting our faith into a company like this that runs an anti-cheat at the highest level, and you know they pretty much bug it up. And this is not the first case that people sort of goods and stuff on their PCs I've sort of like been stolen due to malicious actors abusing this. It's only because we found out now that someone sort of abused this. But if you look at the GitHub and so on, they've already, and this is not just this person and this sort of project and whatever, and they've already reverse engineered this months ago. So it's very likely that people have been abusing this sort of vulnerability for quite a lot longer than it has now been reported. It is actually scary. And this is where I want to sort of leave you with my sort of like final thoughts. Be so careful if you're going to install a Genshin Impact private server, because if I was someone that sort of did the private servers and so on, I could create a perfectly legitimate piece of GitHub code with a private server for you to download. As long as I just sneak in this little driver here, I can absolutely abuse your system. And I'm pretty sure, well, we've already seen on YouTube a bunch of Genshin content creators have had their Genshin accounts and other credentials stolen by the Genshin Genshin Impact private server community. So just be very, very careful what you download from the internet.